got everything we need right here. Wine and burning chemistry. You and me alone. You and me alone. Inside of our embassy. Everything we need's right here. Make me sing along. Sing along. I never thought I'd ever be stuck by you. I never thought I'd ever be stuck by you. Oh, watch me dancing in the colors, lightning, blowing up a thunder, wash it over me. We got everything we need, right? Watch me dancing in the colors, lightning, blowing up a thunder, wash it over me. Yeah, we got everything we need right here. We got everything, moonlight on your naked skin. Summer's blind us to giving. Where you wanna go? Where you wanna go? Stars align onto your face. Pretty sweet, your sour taste. Make me sing along, sing along. I never thought I'd ever be stuck by you. I never thought I'd ever be stuck by you. Oh, watch me dancing in the colors, lightning, blowing up a thunder, wash it over me. We got everything we need, right? Watch me dancing in the colors, lightning, blowing up a thunder, wash it over me. Yeah, we got everything we need right here. We got everything, sharing all your deepest dreams, wonder what they really mean, yeah. In the empty lines of the answers. Write down all your memories, feel the things you wanna feel, yeah. In the empty lines of the answers. Oh, watch me dancing in the colors, lightning, blowing up a thunder, wash it over me. We got everything we need, right? Watch me dancing in the colors, lightning, blowing up a thunder, wash it over me. Yeah, we got everything we need right here. We got everything,
Okay, can everyone hear me now? Can everyone hear me okay? Does there sound now? Okay, fantastic. Okay, well, first of all, I just want to say I'm really, really, really sorry for yesterday. It was absolutely awful. It's actually not my internet specifically. There is a connection issue in my whole area. And also just sorry for running late. I think I went live an hour later than I had anticipated, and you guys know that I always try to not clash with other squaddies podcast if I can, but because I ran an hour late, it then kind of clashed with Barons. So sorry about that. But hopefully today's going to be a lot better, and the connection issue in my area will just hopefully get better so that we can continue as usual. But it's technology. What can we do? But happy Friday to everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, and almost almost 300 of you in the chat. So please do thumbs up. And I can see almost all the usuals. Hello, Jacqueline Baltimore. Feel like I haven't seen you in a while. Joan, hi. Marsha, hi. Hello, Dorothy Ross. Drufa Dilly. Hi, Anna. Gwendolyn, Josephine, hi. Is the bar open? Has anybody opened the bar? And Gozi, you've opened the bar. Thank you, girl. Thank you. It is Friday. And I mean, I feel like it's been a good week for us, hasn't it, squad? Has it not been a good week for us? I mean, just imagine we were not even checking for this tour, but this tour made us check for it. And this has basically been us like all week. Like literally, that's been us all week. I think that sums it up because it's just been one disaster. Do you guys mind if I play that again? I just have to. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me just be petty. I mean, that's literally just like been what it's been. And I laugh not because the situation and what has happened isn't more serious. It is absolutely serious. It is absolutely abysmal. It was so out of touch in every single way. But I laugh only because only so we do not cry. Because otherwise it's just really been at the core of it, it's really not funny. So we're gonna get into it all today. But let's start with a little bit of positive news. So we know that Archetype dropped their trailer, and that is, of course, Archwell Audio's first program that's going to come out on Spotify, and it was the most shared after being released. I actually think that the link broke, and people weren't able to listen to it for some time. So there you go, Archetypes most shared. As usual, the British press were claiming that nobody was going to be watching it, but as we know, nobody is more excited for Meghan than her haters, more excited than her actual fans. So that's that. And also, just a reminder to go check on sussextimeline.com. That is going to be launching on March 31st. There is a countdown. So add that to your diaries. And as always, great to see squaddies doing somewhat positive and creative things. And just before we get into the British royal news, we've got some international royal news. The former Spanish king could face court in UK after a claim for immunity was rejected. So he was trying to get immunity as a sovereign, and this was rejected by a UK court. I wish the UK courts would be just as strict with their own sovereigns, but anyway. In the article, it explains that the defendant, Juan Carlos I, cited his immunity as a sovereign and belonging to current Spain King Felipe's household to evade scrutiny, but the court rejected his status. The fact that the defendant has been accorded a special constitutional status in Spain does not make him a sovereign, the ruling reads, since he abdicated in 2014. Now, he abdicated because of corruption. If you didn't know, it was a big thing. He actually is now in exile in Abu Dhabi. I believe he is no longer in Spain. So it goes on to say the defendant is not the head of state of Spain, the court stated. The High Court of England and Wales has rejected former King Spain's um, immunity, arguing he is no longer sovereign or head of state following his abdication. After this first ruling, the court will now move forward with the former king's ex-lover's harassment allegations. So that's what the court case is about. If the case goes further, the defendant will have the opportunity to defend the claims made against him, and ultimately, the court will hear evidence and make a decision after a trial. So it just goes to show that every now and again, justice does do what it's meant to do and prevail. And even if he doesn't necessarily get charged, I do think it's mighty interesting that a sovereign of another state, in this case Spain, literally had to go into exile into another country. And not even another country in Europe. He's gone to a country in the Middle East. There's been a lot of issues with corruption in Spain with their royals as well. So that is that. But onto our royal. Actually, before I get onto our royals, let me just check your comments, make sure I haven't missed anything. Hello, if you're just joining us, please do thumbs up. Hello, Suzuki. Drip Dilly, hello. Hi, Lucy Wynn. See. Hello, Black Queen. I'll always do the best that I can, Susan. Thank you so much for joining in. Yes, Anna, all royals are in trouble. I think the era of royalty is just coming to an end in general. They all just need to step back and be the overdressed, pretty baubles on the wall that they should be in this era. They really shouldn't be anything more than just overdressed baubles on the wall. Yes, Joanne, corruption is all around us. Hello, Rosa Green. Thank you for joining. Veronica, all royals are a problem, but isn't he related to the current British monarchy? I'm not actually sure. Oh, his wife is first or second cousin to Prince Philip. Oh, wow. You lot are coming in with the facts. Thank you so much. Yes, Terry, they're all corrupt, just a different country. Hello, Edith. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so on to our beloved and disastrous British royal family. This diamond of a headline from the Daily Mail. Prince William expresses profound sorrow and abhorrent slavery and echoes Charles, saying it stains Britain's history in emotional speech to lavish dinner hosted by Jamaica's Governor General on Jubilee tour as Kate dazzles in the Queen's diamond. Now, please somebody explain to me how you could put slavery and the Queen's diamonds that were probably stolen, in the same damn sentence. How do you do that? Just carnival of so-called experts indeed. Not just William and Kate and their team being tone deaf, even the British press being incredibly tone deaf also. Oi. And also coming with the usual just sexist coverage of women that we've come to see from the Daily Mail. They can't even attempt to try and say anything about Catherine beyond just the way she looks. I mean, she gave a whole speech on childhood development. Apparently, I didn't see it, but you would think that they would even just try, just attempt to present her as more than just a mannequin. And this has got to be one of the most hilarious Daily Mail red label pictures I've ever seen. Humidity beating sleekness. That's a new term. And then somebody tried to make fun of it by labeling Boris Johnson's face. I mean, I just don't understand this. It's so outdated, and they shouldn't be doing this to anyone. But what we haven't gotten, and what we usually get when it's Meghan, is the pricing of every single item, because that's something that I, as a British taxpayer, want to know, because we know that Catherine's wardrobe is being paid for by our money. Yes, Edith, the tour comfortably called Make Slavery and Colonialism Great Again. I mean, this went from the We Are Not a Racist Family tour to Make Colonialism Great Again tour. Ugh. Yes, Casimir, no emotional intelligence. How do you become an adult and be so emotionally dead? Well, when you've never been held to account and you're surrounded by yes men. And that's why William is the way he is and why Harry is the way he is, because Harry was actually held to account and took accountability and grew as a person. You know, I used to think that perhaps William or Kate had social media burner accounts, and in the darkness of night, they log on to Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. But given how tone deaf everything about this tour has been, I don't know if I believe that anymore, because if they were listening and hearing what we were saying, none of this disaster would have happened, or at least a lot of it would have been prevented. So I think that they are truly just surrounded by yes men and women, and it's an Emperor's New Clothes situation. Oi. Thank you so much, Lottie G, for the super sticker. Happy Friday to you, hun. So that's that. And straight away, the blame game is coming in. There have been articles blaming the staff and now the incompetent Foreign Office. And this is a so-called royal expert who's blaming the incompetent Foreign Office. But you know that when we have articles like this, it's probably coming from inside the house. I really don't think it's a particularly good idea for the royals to start getting into petty rifts with the government, and really and truly, how can you blame the Foreign Office? You know, the Foreign Office is just there to oversee and make sure that everything that the royal households plan go ahead. So I really don't know how the Foreign Office can be blamed for the fact that um, Catherine was walking around in plantation chic. That's not the Foreign Office's fault. Um, but of course, the blame game has started, and I think in what must be a surprise to the royal households, the international media has just blown up with articles, well, both the international and even the British media. But we'll get to the British media in a moment, because even the Daily Fail are now starting to pile in. But there was this really well written article that I picked up on amongst the many articles, even Times, um, Washington Post weighing in and just saying that this whole tour was just a disaster. But I thought this comment was particularly interesting, and it said, "Kate and Wills are troopers. The fault lies with the palace. As always, impoverished the social change. After Black Lives Matter, slavery and imperial plunder are no longer too beastly to be mentioned. Deploying the Royal A Team won't stop Jamaica or 14 other British colonies becoming republics. Indeed, only remind people they're still subjects of a distant queen. Anyway, isn't that legacy now embarrassing for Britain too?" Well, it doesn't seem like Britain is too embarrassed. Um, if people are still supporting, or at least there's a section of the British society that isn't embarrassed by this and doesn't want to move on. Anyway, she goes on to say, "In a modern Commonwealth, we should meet these democratic nations eye to eye without colonial cosplay." I'm so convinced that somebody stole my tagline, because I said colonial cosplay first. That was me. Anyway, Kate and Wills must be self-aware enough to see their visit is not just angering Caribbean Republicans; it's making the rest of us cringe. And I agree with most of that. However, what I don't agree with is her saying that, well, first of all, calling them the Royal A Team, because the Royal A Team left. That was Harry and Meghan. But also saying that the fault lies with the palace, because at the end of the day, William is is the leader of his house, and Charles should be the leader of his. And I feel like now they're starting this narrative with Charles and William that they've had in all this time, that it's never the CEO's fault. It's always the palaces and whoever the palace is, the vipers, the courtiers. It's always their fault, but it's never those who sit at the top. So trying to shift the blame. But there you can see. I mean, these are just a few of the snippets that I pulled out, but there have been many media outlets from around the world um, reporting on this, and I find it interesting that they're blaming it on the so-called palace staff, or maybe those palace staff should have been picking up those 5 a.m. emails from Megan and learning a thing or two instead of complaining. Um, Haggy, it's sad that the only thing they see of Kate is her looks or clothes. As a woman, I would want to be known for more. Well, I don't think Kate ever wanted to be known for more. And even if she wanted to, the firm would not allow that. Because as far as this institution is concerned, if you're a woman in this institution, you are just a womb and a mannequin. That's it. And as far as I'm concerned, um, it should have been William and Charles to be able to put the foot down and say, we are going to change the way women are seen and how women operate in this household. So it just feels to me like Catherine was just very happy to go along with being the smiling mannequin and womb. And in a bygone era, that would have worked, but not anymore. We want royal women and women in public life who are active um, and a little bit more vocal. I'm not saying that Catherine has to be the most, political, um, some kind of like political extremist social justice warrior. I'm not saying that at all. But for goodness sake, at least show some of your personality and even engage in some low level, won't ruffle any feathers um social activism. Instead, it's just we're just going to be a mannequin and smile and grin and grin and grin. It just doesn't work anymore. This isn't the 1950s. Robin, not one Caribbean designer mentioned. I think she did wear one like jewelry piece, but in terms of clothes, it seems like she's kept it very much to her faves. Because as much as the royal households like to act like, oh, there's never any collaboration between designers, of course there are. We know that she's quite close with Jenny Packham, so yeah, she's kept it very much to her faves for this tour. Um, Truth or Dilly, everyone told them not to go and they go. Get into embarrassing trouble and make everyone else culpable. Go figure, exactly. And it's just the fact that those images. I don't know if I've got them. Let me just see if you know, these images. Even if you were going to say, do you know what? From when you actually look at it from a wider perspective, um, they were, they're not exactly as they seem. They went to a football match. There was a cage. It could have been handled a little bit better. Yes, the optics are bad. They're very terrible. But in reality, what actually happened that day wasn't that bad. So I could have given them that had they course corrected. And they had 24 hours to course correct. And instead of correcting course, they came back 24 hours later with this. So it's like, even though they had an incident that made them look bad, you could still kind of explain away as just bad optics. It's almost like they came back and doubled down. And I don't understand why, after that incident with the kids behind the cages, somebody on the team decided, you know what? I don't think it's a good idea if we show up tomorrow dressed like the Colonial Comic Con event. Not one person on this team said, "Do you know what? Let's not do this. Let's not recreate the past. We'll get you a nice, pretty dress, and we can just do something a little bit more modern." Now, I know that this particular tradition, it had something to do with um, the guards, and they were honoring and all of that. But they could have just said no. This is not going to look good. This is not going to be good optics. Let's do something else. Let's do something that presents the people of this country as our equals. But it's almost like they just wanted to double down with this colonial cosplay. It was very weird. And then you had Richard Palmer using a term that I think in Britain means something very different than our friends in the US. He said a couple of crackers here. Now, crackers in the UK means something positive. In the US, it's used as a term usually towards racists. And he came back, and I mean, obviously, you can see the tweet got ratioed the hell out of itself. And Palmer came back and said, "Someone just told me that the C word means something else in parts of the US. To be clear, I meant these as a couple of cracking, excellent pictures. Honestly, you can't say anything." And I responded by saying, "You can't say anything. Now you know what it's like to be Meghan, karma." So, don't say things like you can't say anything when it's you that picks apart Meghan's every single word. Casimir, I now see why they complained about Meghan's staff. Sorry, about Meghan. Staff was trash, and she tried to get them competent, and obviously, they don't do competent. Exactly. Now we know, clear as day, what it was that Meghan was working with. Lazy, incompetent staff that can't read the room, and as much as they need a person of color in the room to be able to guide them, did not want to listen to her. Complaining about 5 a.m. emails? Are you kidding me? Nobody's saying that you have to get up at 5 a.m. to read that email, hun. Yes, Nancy, it's always everybody else's fault, never theirs. Joyce, the international media is not going to cover up a bad tour because it's news and there are real journalists. Of course. And let's be honest, even if the tour had gone great, the fact that it has gone absolutely terrible is a lot more clicks and views for them than a tour that would have gone good if they had reported on it. Vinny, I don't think William, Kate, and the other siblings and cousins, the whole British establishment, ever got a factual education on slavery and colonialism. Therein lies the problem. That's a very good point. I do wonder to what extent. Do you know what? I don't actually think that they didn't get an education or that they don't understand. I just think they don't care, because at the end of the day, they're enjoying the fruits of empire. So I think they do know. I think they're very much aware. I think they just don't care. UK said the PR team is rusty because of the pandemic. Well, none of the rest of us were allowed to be rusty for our jobs. So a bunch of very privileged people are now, and they get to be rusty, but we don't. We were shafted into working from home. We had to adapt to a whole new normal. We didn't get to say that we're rusty because of the pandemic. We had to get on with it. I was having a conversation the other day with a friend of mine um who confided in me that she had suffered from what's now been called as pandemic depression. And I think I low key suffered from the same thing. There was just a period of time during the pandemic where it was like I was so lethargic, my attention span was short. I just felt so down and depressed. It's like we were just thrown into this um into this new normal that nobody saw coming, but we got through it. And we, the normal people, don't live in castles. We don't have golden pianos. We don't have staff. So if that's what uh, the UK press is saying, that their team is rusty because of the pandemic, I can't take that excuse. Um, and yes, Dolores, that's also a very good point. These tours are months in the planning, probably close to a year being put together, and it's still been a disaster. Lita, I hope they know what to expect if they come to the UK. Oh, sorry, if they come to the USA. At this point, I think they should just cancel. Just cancel. Because given now that we've seen that the international press are not going to toe the line, if it's a disaster in the USA, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Help them indeed. Because the US media is not going to hold back. And they're still pretty peeved about Andrew. Thank you so much if you're just joining us. 700 in the chat. Thumbs up, please. Veronica, it's strange that Kenneth wasn't advised to wear diamonds, but Meghan was advised not to wear a crown on the Sussex tour. Well, there was a, I think, concerted effort to make sure that Meghan never wore a crown, so that, you know, so as not to reinforce her princess status. Um, all right, let's move on to the next thing. I'll catch up with your comments shortly, but yes, Jane Noir, who is definitely not my favorite person, and has said very nasty things about Meghan. I think but still a bit of a surprise for her to come out with this headline today, saying that the tour is not Kate and William's fault, but has left me dying of embarrassment. And if the Duchess glue gun grin gets any more fixed, someone is going to have to chisel it off when she gets home. So just the usual nasty tone that Jan Noir usually uses with women. I wonder though if she has been lurking around Sussex squad circles, because glue gun grin and that grinning and grinning and grinning, that definitely sounds like a Sussex squad term. But anyway, it's interesting to see that even the Daily Fail is now turning. And you know, you look at this picture, there's only one person of color, and they're standing in the background. These are the people that are advising William and Kate. And I can imagine that some of them will probably be fired after this. But it's just going to be the same yes men being hired again. And up there in the corner, we have that infamous photo of Meghan and Harry standing on the balcony, and that's what they wanted. That's what they wanted, but it's not what they got because they just cannot pull in the crowds. They had to bring in a footballer from the UK, fly him all the way over just to get crowds. And it seems like they just really have not been met with fanfare other than officials. They just haven't been met with that excitement and fanfare at all. Yes, Terry, no one cares about these archaic tours. It's 2022, not 1922. But having said that, I think we should that's actually not entirely true, because if we look back to Harry and Meghan's tour of South Africa, Why Harry and Meghan's arrival in South Africa will be unusually non-traditional. There will be no traditional red carpet welcome in Cape Town, and the message is clear. We are here to work. This is not a holiday. So Harry and Meghan set the tone for their tour from the start. We are not here to mess around. We're here to work. And you look at the people and the organizations that they met and the interactions that they had with the locals on tour. It was very much a working tour. They really did not have a holiday. And they were with a little one on top of it, on tour with a baby. But you got these two with how many staff is it that they went with? I think it's like 40 something staff. Scuba diving and making chocolate and dancing around. Really not working at all. So I think that people would care about the tours if they took a leaf out of Harry and Meghan's book and made the tours more focused on creating impact and collaborating with communities and meeting with people eye to eye, not parading around on top of jeeps like we're back in the 1950s. This is what it should have been. This should have been a working a working trip. And I just want to read a little bit from Jan Noir's article. She says, let's face it, William and Kate's Jamaican tour is a disaster. If this is the shape of things to come, one can only fear for the future of the monarchy itself. You can see the chronicle of its death foretold in every moment, from the Trench Town bongo bashing to emeralds and apologies at the governor's dinner in Kingston. The speeches are squirming, the dutiful set pieces are cringe, the optics are bad. White ultra-privileged royalty gamely watching the locals capper about and entertain them, later shaking the hands of Jamaicans behind wire fencing. It's also last century. It's also over. From 4,000 miles away, I'm dying of embarrassment for myself, for our country, for the Cambridges. Since the Queen and Prince Philip made the same trip in 1953, and even since their last visit in 2022, everything has changed. The world is a different place, while history itself is going through a boil wash of revisionism, one that finds the royals on the wrong side of the divide, down there at the bottom of the basket, among the dirty laundry of colonialism and the stains of the past. Indeed, if Kate's glue gun grin gets any more fixed, someone is going to have to chisel it off when she gets home. Not everyone loves the royal family, and it's easy to understand why many Jamaicans want to follow Barbados and become a republic. But I suspect that no one would have dared to be so openly discourteous had it been the Queen. So, okay, that is where she kind of throws in a bit of shade there, because, to use the word, openly discourteous, Jamaica has the right to speak on how it feels about matters of the royal family. So a little bit of shade there, but anyway, let's continue. Respected even by many ardent Republicans, she carries her 70 years of service around with her like a Krypton shield against reproach. So she admits right there that there is this almost cult-like worship around the Queen, where it's almost impossible to criticize her because there is this kryptonite-like shield. And what's going to happen when that kryptonite-like shield around her basically passes on to the afterlife with her? There will be nothing. And I think that's what Jan was trying to say there. There will be nothing between the remaining royals and the impending criticism. Let's continue. However, all bets are off with this weaker, diluted new generation of royals who must accept that for many of their subjects, the Commonwealth is not something to be celebrated. It is, in fact, a feudal yoke from which to escape. Some Jamaican politicians are using the visit to make opportunistic claims for reparations. Definitely not opportunistic, because they've been talking about reparations for a long time. But anyway, she has to throw in some shade. Let's continue. Over slavery. They have seized the moment and the mood, and I don't even blame them. At the official dinner on Wednesday night, Prince William responded with a rich, roll-off-the-cuff, full royal hand-wiring woe is him. Prince William can be as heart-trending and emotional as he wants when he talks about slavery, but he is going to be king one day, a system of belief that rests on the notion that his bloodline is superior to any other in the Commonwealth. He is damned by his very existence. Um, he may have the best will in the world. I don't think he does. But in the increasingly clamorous social and radical politics of today, he is as ridiculous and obsolete as a royal dodo. Y'all, she went in. No doubt his words were sincere. I don't think they were, but anyway. Yet they came from a prince who had the nerve to criticize the BAFTAs on the lack of diversity 2 years ago, although he still turned up in Jamaica this week with practically an all-white personnel, uh, and without a blush. One can see the wisdom of the Queen never making statements or somehow staying above the fray of the cares of the day. See where the alternative gets you, open to criticism yourself. Well, unfortunately, in this day and age, it's very difficult to stay neutral on anything. And when you're silent, people will often project an opinion onto you anyway. And they're just not going to get the pleasure of being silent, especially when you're in such an elite position nowadays. Those days are gone. Joseph Bruno, this Caribbean trip is a train wreck that we can't look away from. Instead of repairing the image, it spotlighted all the colonialism, racism, and slavery that the royal family has been guilty of. And I did say on Twitter earlier today that I don't think that we can have a conversation about reparations without talking about imperialism, without talking about um, the political interference of countries, of Western countries, in former colonies, without talking about the unfair trade agreements, without talking about the market manipulation. I mean, if you think about it, really, reparations is almost like a surface discussion, and all of those things also come under the umbrella. And we really need to talk about all of the things that have stopped former colonies from progressing since the end of empire. Because if we're only having a conversation about the reparations, I don't think that we're going to come to um, that we're ever going to come to a full resolution. Because it's not just about reparations; it's about all of the interference and meddling that Western countries have done in former colonies, also, and continue to do. Okay, let's see what you're saying. Hey, Joyce, Harry was trying to tell them for the longest time. They didn't want to listen. They called him too woke. Yes, Triffidilly, Diana and Megan were both full of passion and interesting in their own ways. Not to compare them too much, but they were both very interesting in their own ways. World traveler, when is this vacation over? Yeah, we're all exhausted. I mean, I literally feel like I was there, scuba diving under the water. I'm exhausted too. Susie Q, she gave a speech about child development. Nobody in Jamaica needs to hear that. She needs to keep her speech to herself. uh, yeah, I felt it kind of odd that she was talking about childhood development in Jamaica, because wasn't that project meant to actually be about British children and the big questions that they were asking British parents? And how can you talk about, childhood development in, I feel like if you're going to talk about childhood development in two very different countries with two very different cultures and systems, I don't know. I just find it very odd that she would have even given that speech in Jamaica. Joe Blogs, praising Kate for making a confidence speech at the Bahamas school is not complimentary to Kate. Confidence speeches should be given after 20 years and with a focus on being the future queen. Yeah, yeah. She should have been ready for this job a long time ago. Uh, it does make me sad. I'm not a fan of Kate, but it makes me sad when I see a woman who is is not um walking fully in their power. That makes me sad. No matter who the woman is, that makes me sad, especially if it's because they're in an institution like the royal family. And another thing I did say on Twitter earlier today was, I mean, they're doing all of this, and all of this imagery is, I guess, to appeal to a very particular base. But like I said on Twitter earlier today, that base does not show up in droves to support their faves, does not um, donate to their charities, is not charitable in that way, has not formed a community, and unless Kate and William are splashed all over the tabloids by force, in general, that core audience that they're trying to appeal to really doesn't follow what they're doing in the same way that we have done all of those things in the Sausage Squad. So they're trying to appeal to a base who are pretty. They're a pretty lazy group of fans, and a lot of them only started caring again about William and Kate since the wedding because they saw that Harry and Meghan were getting more popular and they didn't like that. So trying to appeal to that base really just doesn't have any longevity at all. Because what Harry and Meghan have managed to do is appeal to the future. And the young people of today, for most part, are not interested in the royals. They're interested in celebrity. And so, really and truly, I think Kate and William are they're playing to a crowd that is not going to that just doesn't have a longevity, and that is not even going to carry the monarchy into the next era. Because one thing you have to say about um, Harry and Meghan is that they know who their audience is. Um, they're young, they're socially active, they're woke, and you either love them, you hate them, or you're pissed moron. But they know who their audience is. They play to it, and it works. Kate and William are trying to be everything to everyone, and it's not working. You can't be everything to everyone. You're always going to piss someone off. Marsha, they went there for a photo op and got the bad photos. That just shows how tone deaf they are. Yeah, they went for a photo op, but unfortunately, they got this. This is not what they wanted. Uh, right. Joe blogs, and because they have no knowledge of their history and definitely no vision for the future, once again, Kate is made to cosplay. I'm actually beginning to feel sorry for her at 40, to not know yourself. Yeah. And I feel like the longer this goes on, I think her and William are just going to get more and more lost as people because I don't even think that they know what they are and who they are. And how can you in an institution like this? How can you know who you are? You're told who to be. Yeah, it's almost like they're recreating everything in modern times. It's weird and creepy. It's very weird and creepy. I don't know why they wouldn't have the sense to just show up in normal clothes, for goodness sake. Like it's like you're out here in this Like plantation boho chic? Like what on earth? Absolute madness. Seymour, in this time of social consciousness, how is it possible that some can readily sympathize with the tragedy of Ukrainian suffering while simultaneously disregarding the plight of Jamaicans? That's a very good point. I saw somebody make a comment earlier today. Oh, if Jamaicans hate us, um, oh god, what did they say? They said, oh, if the UK hates Jamaica so much, why don't we send them aid? And I responded by saying, do you not realize that aid is a form of it's almost like a form of modern day slavery itself? Because first and foremost, you're keeping people dependent, and it's like you're giving with one hand to make yourself look good, but you're taking with another in all of the ways that we know that Western countries interfere to stop developing countries from developing. Um, yeah. But yeah, that was a very sorry. I went on a little bit of a tangent there, but that was a very good point, Seymour. There's definitely like a double standard um in just the way people are able to see the humanity in certain for certain people or certain groups. In this case, the Ukrainian refugees, but they can't seem to see the humanity in the when it comes to brown skinned people. Mm. By the way, I have not seen any protests or pictures of protests. There were reports that a protest was going to happen. I haven't actually seen any, to be fair. In terms of sorry, in the Bahamas. However, where the Bahamas didn't want to protest, the ancestors did, and it has been pouring down with rain. I'll show you in a sec, but let's just try and get through your comments. Levy, the buck stops with William. I don't believe anyone can tell or advise him in any way. Yeah, I am so sure that William wanted to recreate that moment in the Jeep. I'm so sure. He wants he wants his traditional or he wants his reign to be that traditional king's reign. But honey, this is a different time. A completely different time. Yeah, Megan walked with a notebook because she was prepared. She came with notes and she took notes. She listened. She listened and she gave. Yeah, please go and like my responses and replies on Twitter. I'm usually mouthing off. I left Twitter like so funny. I left Twitter almost, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 years ago now. And thanks to the Sausage Squad, I came back. I think if it wasn't for the Sausage Squad, I wouldn't be on Twitter. Yes, Catherine, the Invictus Games is going to be a tight run operation. Can't wait for it. Ready? They need a pitch for the Archetypes. Well, they need a pitch for the Archetypes, for PR. There's been a PR disaster. Yes, Alita, William is incandescent with rage. Although, isn't it interesting how they've stopped or toned down those headlines? There was a period where William was incandescent with rage in every single headline, every single day. and that's just disappeared. I guess they've realized now that it's actually making him look bad. Don't know why they didn't know that in the first place. Natasha, the recreation was for the UK traditionalists. They are still trying to position themselves as next in line while skipping over Charles. They're just too dumb to realize it. Well, those UK traditionalists are actually not a very big group of people. And I have generally seen, even from non squaddies who are not part of the squad, looking at a lot of the online commentary, just generally speaking, most people seem very embarrassed. So it's like I said earlier, you're trying to play to a very small group who are dwindling and who are not going to bring this institution into the future. I mean, just wait for the Crown season 5 to drop. All of the Gen Z are going to get an education. Maggie, you're right. They know what they're doing. Is how the Queen Philip told them that they are superior to Commonwealth country citizens. They are evil. I mean, I have to wonder how you can even get any amount of pleasure or enjoy standing there waving at people like they're beneath you. Like there has to be something actually wrong with these people. Like it's not just, oh, I feel that I'm superior because I have the divine right of kings. Like I honestly think that there's like something like mentally wrong with these people. Because whether it was 1950 or now here in 2022, I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. It's very strange. Like I need like a whole faculty on the psychology of these people, like full on megalomaniacs. Andreen, they were touring in England during the pandemic on Lizzie's train. Yes, and somebody said on Twitter earlier today, I think it was Pagan. She said that the touring would become more localized than within Britain. And I said, well, by local, what do you mean? Do you mean to Asda? Do you mean to Tesco's? To Iceland Shopping Centre? Because they went to Wales, they went to Scotland, and they went to Ireland, and all three of them told them where to go. Because nobody wanted you around during a pandemic, especially when everybody else was told to stay at home. And it's going to be interesting to see really where they go and what they do from here. Because I don't even know at this point who wants to see them and who is interested. I honestly actually think that at this point, every country that they go to, especially if it's a former colony, is just going to kick off. Lord, we're in for a long ride on the Duchess of Success podcast. I was thinking the other day, like, how long can I keep this up for? And I actually want to do a good 5 years on this podcast. But I could be here for the next damn decade, the way things are going. Oi. Um, okay, let's scroll down a little bit. Thank you everyone for the super chats. Sorry if I've missed you. I think it's probably just because I haven't gotten down on my end to see your names. Let's scroll down a little bit though. Thank you everyone for joining us. Oh, we're almost at 900. Fortune, what is the purpose of coming to the US? I believe it's for the Earth Shot. They want to host the Earth Shot in the US. Yeah, true for Dilly. That picture in Kensington Palace, a person of color in the background by the corner, by the door, and they probably told him to leave as soon as the picture was taken. Scroll down a bit more. Cheryl, William and Kate had zero intentions of being working royals. They were both empty shells. Well, they were given so much time to enjoy being a newly married couple, being new parents, in a way that Harry and Meghan were not. They were literally, Meghan popped out the baby and was working. Actually, no, she was working while she was pregnant, and then popped out the baby and then carried on working, having been bullied by the British press while pregnant. Oh, honestly, every day I'm so grateful that they rejected the half in, half out. So grateful. Because honestly, can you imagine if they were still even just half in, how much of the blame would be going to Harry and Meghan right now? Thank you so much, Nafisa, for your super sticker. Appreciate it, darling. Yes, Casimir, the scuba diving thing was just stupid as hell. If William, sorry, Meghan and Harry had done the same thing, they would have said, "How dare they do this in a poor country?" But if Harry and Meghan had gone scuba diving, do you know what we would have seen? We would have seen or heard more from the local ecologists, or whoever's working to help the ecosystem stay alive. People who are actually on the ground, um who are actually involved in environmental work. They went on that diving trip, and I don't know anything about the local people who are helping to look after the ecosystems there. And I know that there's got to be organizations and local scientists, and people that work on the ground. But I know nothing of that. I know nothing of that at all. And that's the type of thing that we would have gotten if it was Harry and Meghan. They wouldn't have just gone for like a diving trip. Ugh. Okay, let's see. Julia rocks. This trip was needed to show the world how obstinate they are. Yeah. I mean, really and truly, this is going a way that I had never imagined. Oh, hello, Oro. You're eating spaghetti. Fabulous. I hope you're enjoying your spaghetti. Uh, sprinkle a bit of cheese over it. That usually helps. Crystal, do you think William realizes how disastrous this tour has been, or do you think he is as stupid and ignorant as his uncle Andrew, who thought his disastrous interview was great? I think that they're probably surrounded mostly by yes men and women. I don't know if they have the sense of how bad it is. I think they probably know it's not going great, but I don't know if they realize the extent to which it's going bad. Oh, thank you so much, Janet Lavali, for your super sticker. Happy Friday to you. Yes, Joe Blogs. I hope that Harry and Meghan stays away from that Jubilee celebration. There is no need to come for that. No need. I'm gonna show you something later on regarding the situation in the United Kingdom right now. The Chancellor has been caught up in corruption. They're going around calling every Russian, regardless of whether or not they earned their fortune fairly, but they're going around, painting every single Russian with, you know, in a negative way. Meanwhile, the chancellor himself was involved with some Russian oligarchs, and it's just like it's just one big disaster after another with the UK. So honestly, if Harry and Meghan show up to the Jubilee, it's going to be bad for Harry and Meghan because the whole Jubilee celebrations at this point are really, really tone deaf in the face of what's going on with the UK. And if Harry and Meghan show up, they're going to get thrown in the fire instead of this is tone deaf and the palace should have cancelled it or never even planned it in the first place and done something more toned down. It's going to be selfish Harry and Meghan coming all the way from the US to come to the Jubilee. Black Queen, nothing from Kate about child Q and the vicious assault on her. I To be honest with you, I don't know if I would expect um anyone to make a comment on that, or anyone from the royal household to make a comment on that anyway, just because because we know that they just don't care, but also because this implicates the Met Police. But I do believe that there have been some firings. Sorry, I haven't really kept up with the case too much, but I think there were some firings, and things are kind of moving on in terms of getting a little bit more justice for this girl and her family. So people did protest, they've made some noise, and I think that it is making a genuine difference. So, and Child Q did, and her mother actually released a statement thanking everybody for their support. So there is something being done. Denise, so everywhere she goes, her speech will be on childhood development. Nothing about the actual country. This is another thing. Like, why not give a speech on, you know, like she sat down, she learned a little bit about Jamaican history or Jamaican culture. She everywhere she goes now, she's just going to talk about childhood development. Oh, very strange. Whew. Guys, I've been sitting in one position for the last hour, and oh my god, the hurt on my bum. God, it hurts so much. Sorry, like, oh, when you've been sitting in one place for like a really long time and it's just stiffness. Jesus Christ. Okay. Um, okay, let's move on to the next thing, and I'll try and get through your comments a little bit later. What did I want to go on to next? Um, oh yeah, so just sticking with Jamaica for a second. Everything that's happening right now, and the anger that people feel is actually not just because of this tour. It's really just a build up, I think, and it's all just kind of come to a head on this very tone deaf tour. And this is a article from 2018 in regards to the early Windrush deportations, and this was a Home Office guide um, to advise deported people who are being deported to Jamaica. And part of the guide said in their do's and don'ts, that had been compiled by the National Organization of Deported Migrants to help returning residents settle safely back into life in Jamaica to try to be Jamaican. Use local accents and dialects. Overseas accents can attract unwanted attention. What in the name? I hadn't seen this until today, and I just like just shaking my head. You've been raised and socialized in Britain your whole life, and then you're gonna tell someone, try to be Jamaican, try to use an accent. Can you imagine me with my Essex accent trying to sound Jamaican? And then to say that accents can attract unwanted attention. Just beyond tone deaf. I can't even believe that this is a real thing. I was shocked when I saw this. I thought this has got to be like some trolling. Ugh. World traveler, reparations is due to every dispersed African in the diaspora from UK, USA, Portugal, Spain, and the atrocities that happened in the Congo by the Belgians. Yeah, I mean, I've never really looked into this, but I mean, see, how this is measured, and how it would just the whole proceedings of how it would work. I mean, I know that they've done it before in other situations, um, but I'd love to actually hear from an expert about physically how this would work. One place they could definitely start is cancel all of these ridiculous loans. Thank you so much, Dorothy Ross. Happy Friday to you, dear. Mm. Yes, the chat is giving me the sweetest live. Keep it rocking, squaddies. Deborah, the royal family has not built any schools, hospitals, but roads get paved so the royals don't get bounced around. Yeah, that's so true. Isn't that so weird? Head of state, no concern for the everyday struggles of black people. She rules over. Sad. It's just so weird. Like, how in this 2022 can you think it's acceptable for a head of state that does not live in that country to be a head of state? Okay, so that's that, and what else did I want to mention? Oh yes, the picture in the rain. Um, yes. So our favorite photographer, Samir Hussein, we know that he takes a very good picture in the rain and really manages to capture the moment. And I think this moment right here, of Kate and William in the Bahamas, I think captures the moment of, or really captures the true feelings of where we are on this tour. Raining, scurrying to get inside. You've got William there, just desperately trying to get inside. Catherine coming with a grin, and just look at how disorganized William and Kate look in comparison to the unity, to the in sync, um, loving gaze that Harry and Meghan have for each other. This is by the same photographer. Look at the size. Look at the size of William's umbrella. It's almost twice the size of Catherine's. So why isn't she just under his umbrella? Goodness me. Yes, Suzuku, God doesn't like ugly. They thought this trip was going to be successful. And you know what? If you go on social media, people have been um reposting pictures from Harry's very successful tour. Harry with Usain Bolt. As the video of Shaggy, the artist, um, talking relatively positively about the trip and the visit. World traveler. So who's getting sacked for this embarrassment? Have you guys ever seen that video of Beyonce in what looks like her firing someone on stage? I think she's singing Diva and something happens like with the lighting or something and she's like somebody's getting fired like right in the middle of the song and like that keeps replaying in my head now ever since this disastrous tour started just like who's going to get fired. Mm. Joe blogs, I really fear we're going to see Kate crack very soon. Whoever is advising them is misguiding them. They are becoming more and more pitiful by the day. Well, nobody can put on a fake face and a fake smile forever. And it's going to be very unfortunate, not just for Kate, but for the fact that the exact same thing happened to her deceased mother-in-law. And this institution and William, who should have been protecting her as a husband, failed to do that. Instead, it seems like he just couldn't care less whether or not she withered away. If anything, sadly, it would just open up an um open up a space for him to replace her. Yeah, Benjamin, they can't even decide on a home. They say their 40-room mansion in KP is too claustrophobic. Well, we keep hearing about they're going to move here, they're going to move there, they're going to move to Windsor to be near the Queen, they're going to move closer to Kate's parents. So to me, it just sounds like they're already living pretty separate lives. Personally, the aid they speak of is through the IMF, which we all know isn't aid at all. Yeah, the IMF has a lot of issues as an organization. However, I have not that they've been particularly forceful about it, and they could do more if they actually cared. But I have heard the IMF say to countries like France, um, to to basically just write off the debts. But words are empty if they're not, if they're not being a little bit more forceful, given the power that the IMF has. Um, and when I talk about France's depth, I'm talking about particularly the depths that they have hanging over Haiti's head. But that's just one of many examples. Okay. Oh, thank you so much, Caroline. Thank you for the super sticker. Happy Friday. Kathy, I saw the Rastas protest in the rain. Yes. Kathy G is referring to the protest that was in Jamaica, and the local Jamaican police actually tried to stop them from doing that protest, but they held their ground and they did manage to had their little protest. But yeah, I saw that as well. I just didn't have the time to get the video together. But thank you for mentioning that, Kathy G. Well, traveler, the Rastas protest in the Bahamas rain. Wait, wasn't the Rastas protest in Jamaica? I don't know if it was in Bahamas, or I could be getting that wrong. Yeah, Sylvia, I saw the pictures of the protest and the police was running them off. Absolutely pathetic. They have the right to protest, and they were protesting peacefully. Okay, so you guys are saying those protests were in the Bahamas. Okay, maybe I got it wrong then, because I thought that those protests were in Jamaica. Sorry if I'm getting it wrong. Mm, all right, let me just see if I had anything else to mention. Yeah, just a few Twitter commentators. All the blue ticks are coming out. Um, oh, you guys were right. I'm so sorry. Okay, I forgot this was on my slide. Royal Bahamas police force officers were attempting to stop a group of Rastafarian people from protesting for slavery reparations during um Prince William and Kate's visit. Local media reports. Okay, so my bad. Those were the protests in the Bahamas. So there were some protests. Okay. Sorry, my bad. I thought that was in Jamaica. But nonetheless, as Dion Grant very hilariously said, the British press trying to link the story back to Meghan Markle. Well, they've tried that once with Dan Wooten and he got eaten alive on Twitter. So I don't know if they'll try and come in with another angle to try and blame Meghan. Um, and Lorraine King saying, seriously, I can't stop looking at this photo and thinking, wasn't there anyone on their PR team who warned William and Kate it's not a good idea to look like colonial slave masters? Clearly not. There is actually a video footage of William. Sorry, I didn't manage to get it for today. Maybe I'll show it in the next podcast. But in that moment where he's on the jeep there, where he just looks down and like you can just see it on his face. I do think he recognizes that it's a little bit of a disaster. It also looks like a little bit of disappointment on his face that he didn't see the crowds. But I think that Cold War Steve, who always comes in with a knockout, pretty much summed up with his artwork what this whole tour basically looks like. Cold War Steve, by the way, has done some excellent pictures depicting the treatment of Meghan also as quite a brilliant UK artist. And he is a UK artist who creates critical or politically critical artwork based on issues going on in the UK. So this was his latest efforts, and I think pretty much encompassed this whole tour pretty accurately here in this picture. And Mrs. F. Bahamas wanted to appear diplomatic. Well, I can understand the officials um, wanting to appear diplomatic, but that shouldn't take away from the local people's feelings. And I feel like that's what the British press has tried to do. They've used the fact that the officials are being diplomatic, although I wouldn't expect them to be anything other than to try and downplay the fact that there's a lot more dissent in the general public in these countries. And you're not on Twitter. I would hate to get abused. Yeah, don't go on Twitter. Let us be on Twitter and absorb all the drama for you, and then report back. That's why I give you those random screenshots of what people are saying on Twitter, so you can get an idea of what people are saying, so you don't have to go on Twitter yourself. Oh, you guys, please ignore body language expert. Yes, he did do a video about Megan's podcast about her voice. Oh, by the way, Christopher Boozy was actually on Twitter Spaces earlier, and he was trying to explain the whole situation that happened with Eddie Hall. It was quite interesting. I don't know if they recorded that session, but he was just clearing up a few things and explaining what happened and how he was a little bit blindsided by the whole thing. Ellie definitely uh, played him and had her own agenda. Okay, let's see. Joe blogs, I wonder how long it's going to take Kate to look back and realize she sold her soul. She seems oblivious to the power of the platform she stands on. Well, this has basically been her whole life. And while I believe that it's never too late to ever start again, um, and find your own feet in the world, regardless of what you've been through or how much you've invested in one part of your life, you can always start again. But I think to me it just kind of looks like she's resigned that this is the rest of her life. And I don't know. I don't see her leaving. Um, I don't see her leaving. I think it would be a smart thing for her to leave. But I think it's going to take something very seismic for her to want to leave willingly. Edith, the British royal family should all be in therapy. Oh, hun, I think they need a lot more than therapy. Jesus Christ, they need therapy. They need the Lord. They need to meditate. They need the Calm app. They need Better Up. They need everything. They need all the things. Hypnosis. Give them everything. I mean, Megan pretty much saved them in a way because for about 5 minutes, all we were talking about was Megan's podcast. For about 5 minutes, we forgot what a disaster this tour was. Elaine, plus they spent 600,000 on helicopter outings during lockdown. They were only on Zoom. Yeah. They somehow managed to spend more during lockdown. I find that incredible. Marilyn, we're gonna be here for the long haul. Take your vitamins. uh, oh, thank you all. I'll be here for as long as I enjoy it and for as long as I have the stamina. And make sure to go listen to the Archetypes trailer if you haven't listened to it already, please. Let's get those views up and streams up. Oh gosh, Doreen, his three strands enjoyed his scuba diving though. Indeed. And the fish didn't even want to be around them. Even the sharks were swimming away. Damn sharks were swimming away. Yes, Andreen, it was all a lie. One big lie. Hello, if you're just joining in. VM, I think they will cancel the trip to the US. Well, that would take a level of self-awareness that I don't think they have. And they're pretty desperate to keep trying to compete with Harry and Meghan, so I don't know if they'll cancel it. Mhm. And they need somewhere to host their Earth shot, Earth ear, Earth whatever it is. Lee Tom, I remembered how eloquently Harry addressed the issue of slavery, but William's address felt insincere. I mean, it was probably written for him, So yeah, very insincere. Casimir, imagine if the Queen had said no to their marriage in the first place. Harry and Meghan could have been 3 years ago, but the royal family wanted to play the long game. Yeah, and it's worked against them. I don't think that they ever would have said no to the marriage, because that would have looked really bad. I think that they just said yes, thinking that they could stop the marriage, and then when they couldn't stop the marriage, um, started the smear campaign to break up the marriage. So I don't think the Queen would have actually ever said no, but it would be interesting to see where we would be now if she had said no. Because as horrible as everything that Harry and Meghan have gone through, it's brought them to where they are today. Okay. Oof. Lily, I hope H&M's people watch who is buying the Invictus tickets, because in the past people have sabotaged events by buying up hundreds of tickets and not show up. Oh, that's a very interesting point actually. Um, do I think people would do that for Invictus? I don't know. Maybe there's one or two derangers that might. Um, but they're not free tickets. They're paid. So I don't see too many people doing that for this event. But that's a good point. The tickets were actually quite affordable. So I feel like if there was ever a time that you wanted to go and enjoy it, like this year would have been the year, because I think by next year, um, when this event is a success, because it will be, ticket prices are probably going to go up. Jared Blogs, I hope Child Q's family does not engage, as Kate will probably only use it for star promo. That's a very good point. I hope she does not engage. Okay, I just wanted to end with some UK news. These are the covers of the UK press. Um, No heat, no eat. The reality behind the new budget. Biggest fall in living standards on record. The forgotten millions say, "What about us?" Biggest hit in living standards since the age of rationing. And yeah, it's not sensationalism, even though the UK press usually is. This is true. And right now, it's affecting the people who are really the lower socio-economic status. Um, People who literally live penny to penny, the elderly, but sooner or later it will hit those middle classes, and upper middle classes. Um, and I feel like I wouldn't be shocked if before the end of the year we see serious protest, possibly riots, um, against the government, because people who really live penny to the penny are really going to start to struggle. A lot of other countries are doing their best to keep the fuel and gas costs low, but the UK, it seems like it's just getting worse. You guys know that I'm a prepper, and I've been looking at my receipts from like last year when I was buying like certain goods, and I can see on certain items where the prices have gone up. And I'm quite lucky. I'm okay, but I really feel for people who are on benefits, who really don't have savings. I just don't know how they're going to manage, to be honest. And that's why, especially, if you're listening to this and you are from the UK, please do donate to food banks. Um, donate to homeless shelters. Do what you can. Please do what you can because people are really going to start struggling this year, and we are effectively in a recession. It's just a very slow moving one. Okay, that is pretty much all I had to say for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. I think the internet has been on our side today, and thank you as always for your super chats and your support. So, I'm going to end as usual by trying to get through everybody's comments before we go, and then we'll call it a day. So, thank you so much. All right. Oh, and thank you so much to the mods as well for keeping an eye out. It's been a very busy one today. Denise, I think the scuba diving trip is for footage, William's documentary with Earthshot. Yeah, possibly as well. But they could have still done more to engage locals. Because I feel like, especially in black and brown countries, uh, the actual like scientists and academics that work in these countries don't often get seen and heard from. Like conservation, even when you're talking about conservation in black and brown countries, it's still very much led by white voices. You see and hear David Attenborough's voice, but you don't really see the local people on the ground. And we do have very highly educated people in these fields. So I think it's really important that they try to engage with these people as much as possible when they go to these countries. Beverly, Harry said that he will not be attending the Jubilee. Attending the Jubilee. No, I think so far. I think we've only gotten a statement about Philip's memorial. I don't recall a statement about them not attending the Jubilee, if I'm honest. And it seems like things with the security case are moving along at least. And I think that he will win that case. The Queen was actually seen today. I think there were new pictures that came out. She was looking at what was she doing? I think she was looking at like some teacups and saucers or something. I guess those are her light duties. But yeah, she's still there. London Bridge has not fallen down. And yes, at the end of the day, that's Harry's grandmother, and however we feel about her, he still wants to see her. He still wants his grandmother to see his grandchildren. So I'm sure he'll do all he can to make that happen. Yes, Nancy. And when Harry and Meghan went on tour, they worked. They brought light to charities and causes they believed in, and that's what you're meant to do. Yes, press Persophones. The fact that they pushed the deportation flight back for them to travel there is insane. I mean, the absolute nerve to still go when you know when you come back they're going to deport people. If they had any sense, do you know what? If William actually had any sense, do you know what he would? Do you know what he would have said? He would have said we're cancelling the deportation flight. Instead, they show up knowing that they're going to do that. The nerve. Yeah, Denise, it's been building up for a long time, and what happened to Meghan just heightened it. And it's not just what the royals have done to Meghan. It's the nasty commentators, the nasty YouTube channels, the nasty podcasters, the nasty tabloid writers. Even the idiot in the office making comments about Meghan, it's like the majority of the people in the Commonwealth countries are people of color. And it's like we've been listening and seeing how you sided with an institution that coddles sex offenders, how you sided with that instead of a woman who had never had a bad word said about her before she entered the institution. We've been sitting here and we've been seeing and hearing you bully this woman and spew so much vitriol. So I don't understand why they didn't think or stop and think where this would eventually lead to. It's like they were just so fixated on destroying Meghan, and in the end, it's all just bounced back on them because they're just destroying themselves. Oh, thank you so much, Charlotte. Me and my very stiff behind. Thank you very much. Yeah, Terry. How can you tell someone to change their accent because they've been deported? It's unbelievable. My gosh. I honestly I saw that and I was like, is this fake? It can't be real. Elaine, that photo in the rain made me howl with laughter. Oh well, Amir is he's a very talented photographer. He really captures a moment accurately. Yeah, Mercedes. Kate was smart enough to get under her own umbrella because she knows William wouldn't let her under his, and there is ample evidence, many pictures, showing that he's not generous with his umbrella. Ella. Yeah, KG. I wondered why they had separate umbrellas. But they're probably. Do you know what I think? I do think that while maybe Kate and William don't hear what we say, I do think to a certain degree the KP staff do, even though they don't take our advice as much as they should. Yeah, Andrea, he should have met her on the other side of the car. He should have like gotten out and met her on the other side of the car. Wait, let me just get the picture again. Like, make it make sense. Yeah, Joyce, they need to fire the whole staff. Fire everyone. But some of those positions I think are actually hereditary. They get passed down from one family member to the other, or at least from one family friend to the other. People that went to the same schools, worked in office and government. They just give the positions to their friends and family, and it's why they never actually had the best people. Thank you so much, Denise Taylor, for the super sticker and for coming. Happy Friday to you, Denise. Yes, Rochelle. Belize did announce that they're looking into becoming a republic. So, like everywhere they can they just go everywhere that isn't a republic already? That's what we need Kate and William to do. Just tour the whole damn planet. uh, Joyce, they're going to move into a house that will look like H&M and H&M's home in Montecito. Well, let's not be surprised if we start seeing in their Zoom calls, all of a sudden, all of the inside of the palaces go from that old antique look to the Montecito look. Yeah, world traveler Charles was guzzling beers in Ireland and meeting with drag queens. I hear. You know what? As much as I dislike Charles, one thing I will say about him is that he understands what it means to be king and play king on the chessboard. And despite Kate and William's best efforts, especially on Kate's side, trying to paint her as the peacemaker and future queen consort, Charles really outplayed them with that one. And as soon as it became clear that, or as soon as Charles managed to get Mummy's blessing for Camilla to be queen consort, it's like all that talk about Kate has just gone, just disappeared. Oh gosh, there's a video. I'll get it for the next podcast. There's a video of Charles dancing, attempting to break dance. I believe the video was taken in the US from like decades ago, and somebody was joking like, given that Kate and William just basically copy everything, can you imagine like William going to the US and trying to like do a break dance, trying to copy Charles? I'm gonna get that video for the next podcast because it was actually quite funny. Oh, did something? Hang on a minute. Um. Oh my gosh, Ghislaine, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for your passing. Oh my gosh, that is absolutely horrible to lose your parent. I'm so sorry, darling. Please send prayers to Julianne, please. I'm so sorry, darling. Mm. Yes, please, hugs for you. Oh, it's never easy losing a parent. Never easy. Both my mother's parents died before she was like 10 years old, and you know she's still become an amazing, strong woman. She raised me, but I don't think it, no matter how old you are, I don't think it ever really leaves you. Mm. Um, okay. All right, let's try and wrap this up. I'll try and scroll to the bottom. Uh, True for Dilly, that Jeep pick was bad advice. Yeah, to be honest, of all of the things, that's the one thing that I'm just like, how and why, especially after all of the drama that the fence pictures caused. All right, let's see who's gonna get the last word of the day. And yes, please do pray for Jelaine and send your condolences to her and her family. Keep her in your thoughts today, please. Yes, that Jeep picture, words just escaped me. I think the Commonwealth will be viewing this entire tour as eye-opening event to to becoming republic. It's definitely going to be a turning point, for sure. I can't believe that body language expert guy did a video on Megan's voice where you can't actually see her, but complete silence for this entire darn tour. How can you be a body language expert on someone's voice? I just replayed that in my head and realized how much more stupid it sounds from the first time I said it. It's like it's really sunk in how stupid it sounds now. I didn't quite absorb the stupidity of it the first time I said it. Yes, cookies and cream. The cabbages have made a complete fool of themselves, and even the British press, um, and that invisible contract can't hide it anymore. CMAC, they need Jesus. They need everyone. Call all the spirits and all the ancestors. Call them in. They need everyone. Jesus saves, but this situation is just so disastrous that we just need everyone. Call in the reinforcements, please, because this has been a disaster that I don't think like nobody could have written this. Like, this is like some Sussex Squad fanfic come to life. I mean, just all you can say is this. They should just get on a plane and come home. Get on a plane and come home, and we'll make them beans on toast and make them a cup of tea. Just stop it already. Kate's too close to the throne to give up now. She has 3 children to keep her in luxury and near Granny's jewels for the rest of her life. She is the long con now. Meh. It's like you don't even live a life, really, being in this family. What type of life is that? For what? I'm not the richest person in the world, but I'm very, very happy with my life. It seems like an absolute nightmare being in that mafia. It truly is a gilded cage. Benjamin, do you think that Brexit was ultimately a good idea? I'm here in the States, although I follow politics. Um, okay. Here's just what I think in general. Brexit or no Brexit, the UK government is so corrupt that at this point, um, there are certain things that I think have been and will be made worse because of Brexit. But even if Brexit had never happened, the government is just so corrupt that we would have still had issues. I'll put it that way. I hope that kind of answers your question. Joe Blogs, I'm sure that Priti Patel recently tried to put something in place to stop people protesting. Oh, she didn't try. She didn't try. She did. It's called the policing bill. Look into it. Because she knows that she and her ilk are doing behind the scenes. Yeah, yeah. It's called the policing bill. So it encompasses many things, but one of them is shutting down protest and dissent against government. So that's going on. And this is one of the reasons why I just said Brexit or no Brexit, there's still corruption happening because the policing bill, for example, to stop people from protesting or saying anything against the government, that has nothing to do with Brexit. But it's going ahead and they're doing it. Yes, Lucy. Lucy, you're always so good, hon. Thank you everyone for coming to the podcast. Okay, I think I'm almost at the end. Let's see. Any more interesting comments? Yes, please do have a blessed and wonderful weekend, everyone. Getting a little bit sunnier in the UK. That's something to smile about. Loretta, Duchess of Success, Jamaica is serving last call for alcohol. They won't be back. Indeed. Indeed. Okay, so sorry if I've missed any of your comments, but we're running on almost 2 hours now, so I'm just going to wrap it up. Mrs. F, Britain is beginning to sound like a dictatorship. It's literally going in that direction. Like, I've been saying this for the last 2 years, and everyone I've said it to thinks I'm absolutely insane. I'm like, what do you not see, people? What do you not see? Jesus wept. Okay, let's give somebody the last word of the day. Catherine, do I like beans on toast? Do you know what? I do. Sorry. I really do. There, I said it. I admit it. I like beans on toast. You know what? People often laugh about certain British cuisines. But let me just come in defense of the blandness of some of it. There are some British dishes that are actually very, very nice. And actually, you don't really want spices in them. I do enjoy shepherd's pie. I wouldn't really want paprika in my shepherd's pie. I do like a good Lancaster hot pot. There are some nice British cuisines. It's not all beans on toast, I promise you. But yes, I do enjoy beans on toast. There, I said it. Also, Sylvia, am I still moving? I am, but the one-way ticket may not be one way at the moment. I'm gonna. I am going, but it may not be as permanent this year as I wanted it to be. I'll just kind of like frolic around a little bit of a couple of countries, and then probably come back, and then maybe next year it will be a little bit more permanent. I had planned to just outright leave this year, but I don't think that's going to happen. So maybe next year. Let's see. All right, Caroline, I'll give you the last word of the day. Always love your podcast. See you next time, everyone. Bye. And I always love seeing your guys' comments, and I'm so grateful that you will come. And since it's Friday, we're gonna dance our way out. But before we do dance our way out, just one last thing. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. And with that, we are out. Have a great weekend, everyone.